Hey there, deep divers. Ready to dive into a topic that's, well, kind of obsessed with not plunging?
I like that.
We're talking about aging, but more specifically, the wild world of anti-aging research. It seems everyone's chasing the fountain of youth these days.
It's definitely captured the imagination. What's really interesting is that this isn't just about vanity. Scientists are uncovering some seriously fascinating stuff about the underlying mechanisms of aging.
Okay, so less about avoiding crow's feet, more about understanding the science of how we tick.
Exactly.
I'm in. What's the big scoop?
Well, imagine this. Billions of years ago, single-celled organisms were duking it out for survival. Talk about a tough crowd. To make it through, they developed these incredible survival mechanisms, basically sets of genes that help them adapt and thrive.
Survival of the fittest, even at the microscopic level, huh?
That's right.
You know, those single-celled organisms had it rough. No Netflix, no pizza delivery.
Exactly. They had to be resourceful. And one of their key survival tools was this thing called a survival circuit. It's basically two genes working together. One acts like a super strict accountant, halting cell division when resources are scarce. Got to tighten the belt during a recession.
Makes sense.
The other gene is like a microscopic repair crew fixing up any damage to the DNA. Talk about a dream team.
So even back then, it was all about teamwork. But what does this ancient cellular drama have to do with us modern-day humans trying to, not turn into dust?
Here's the wild part. We inherited that very same survival circuit. It's still chugging away in our cells, impacting how we age.
Wait, so we're all walking around with these ancient survival mechanisms.
Yeah.
It's like having a tiny, super-stressed accountant and a handyman crew living inside every cell. Do they at least take coffee breaks?
Well, that's the thing. This survival circuit, while brilliant for our ancestors, might actually be contributing to aging in the long run. It's like a trade-off short-term survival versus long-term wear and tear.
So like that pair of shoes you love, but they totally wreck your feet, fashion over function strikes again. But seriously, is there any way to renegotiate the terms of this cellular contract?
That's what scientists are trying to figure out. And this is where it gets really fascinating. There's this concept called the information theory of aging, which suggests that aging isn't just about cells getting worn out, but about losing vital information over time.
Losing information. So it's like my brain on Monday morning. Or at that time, I accidentally deleted all my vacation photos.
Think of it this way. Your DNA is like a priceless movie. The story itself never changes. But the DVD it's recorded on, that's like your epigenome, the system that controls how your genes are expressed. And just like a DVD can get scratched and worn, our epigenome can accumulate damage over time.
Ooh, I get it. So, if my DNA is Star Wars, my epigenome is the dusty old VHS tape I found in my attic. No wonder things are starting to feel a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
So how do we polish that epigenome and get the movie playing smoothly again?
That's the million-dollar question, or maybe the billion-dollar question, considering the anti-aging market. Scientists believe we might be able to combat aging by either tweaking that survival circuit we talked about, making those longevity genes more active, or by finding ways to protect the epigenome from damage.
So either convince our inner accountant to loosen up a bit, or find some serious epigenome polish. I'm picturing tiny little buffing claws working on those DNA scratches.
It's an interesting way to visualize it. And what's exciting is that we don't necessarily have to wait for futuristic medical breakthroughs to start taking action.
Okay, I'm all ears. What can we do right now to keep our cells happy and our epigenome sparkling?
Well, there's a lot of buzz around something called intermittent fasting, which essentially gives your cells a bit of a challenge, like a cellular boot camp, and activates that survival circuit.
Fasting, so skipping that midnight snack could be the key to eternal youth. My stomach might stage a revolt, but hey, maybe it's worth a try. What else?
Exercise is another biggie. Seems like pushing your body physically can help keep the epigenome in tip-top shape, like a good spring cleaning for your cells.
All right, time to dust off those running shoes. Although maybe a brisk walk around the block is a good starting point. I don't want to scare my inner accountant too much.
Fair enough.
So what about those?
And believe it or not, even something as simple as cold showers has been linked to activating longevity pathways.
Cold showers. So basically, a little bit of discomfort is the key to feeling younger. Maybe I should trade my morning coffee for an ice bath. Just kidding. Unless.
Well, I wouldn't recommend going to extremes, but the idea is that challenging your body in healthy ways can tap into those ancient survival mechanisms and potentially promote longevity.
This is all super fascinating, but I have to ask, what about those sci-fi sounding medical breakthroughs? Are scientists whipping up any anti-aging potions in the lab?
There are some truly mind-blowing things happening in the world of anti-aging research. Scientists are exploring medications and therapies that show real promise in rejuvenating cells and organs. For example, there's a lot of buzz around senolytics, drugs that target those pesky senescent cells, the zombie cells, that contribute to age-related decline.
Hold up, zombie cells.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is getting really interesting. We've got gladiatorial genes, DVD scratches, and now zombie cells. This deep dive is like a blockbuster movie.
And it's just the beginning. While many of these therapies are still in the early stages, they paint a very exciting picture of the future of anti-aging.
It sounds like we're on the verge of a total revolution in how we think about aging. It's not just about adding years to our lives, but about adding life to our years.
Exactly. And it all comes back to a really thought-provoking question posed by a prominent scientist. What's more appealing, living to 80 in a frail state or living to 80 feeling like you're 40?
That hits the nail on the head. It's about feeling vibrant and alive, no matter what the number on the birthday cake says.
It's about quality of life, not just quantity. It's about experiencing life to the fullest, whatever your age.
Well said. This has been incredibly eye-opening. But we've only scratched the surface of this anti-aging adventure. We'll be back after a quick recharge to delve even deeper into the most promising strategies and the ethical considerations that come with them. Stay tuned, fellow deep divers.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we went on our cellular coffee break, we were talking about some pretty mind-blowing research, and I think it's safe to say this anti-aging train is picking up steam.
Full speed ahead.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about turning back the clock, it makes you wonder, what are the implications of all this? Imagine if we actually cracked the code to aging. Talk about a game changer.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, imagine a world where reaching 100 is the new 50. What would retirement look like? Would we need to invent new decades? The roaring 90s? Anyone?
I love it. But seriously, the implications for society are huge. Everything from healthcare systems to the concept of generational cycles could be completely transformed. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. And there are definitely some big questions we need to ask ourselves. For example, if we could significantly extend lifespan, how would we ensure that everyone has access to these advancements? Would it create even bigger gaps between the haves and the have-nots?
It's a whole new ethical frontier. It's exciting, but also a bit daunting.
It is. But I think it's important to remember that these advancements are ultimately about improving human health and well-being. And that's something we should all be striving for.
Absolutely. So big picture ethical dilemmas aside, let's zoom back in on the practical stuff. What are some of the most promising interventions that are available right now or on the horizon?
Well, we've already touched on lifestyle interventions like intermittent fasting and exercise. Those are great places to start. They're like the low-hanging fruit of the anti-aging world. But there are also some really fascinating developments in the pharmaceutical world.
Ooh, you know I love a good science fiction sounding treatment. Let's talk about those zombie cells you mentioned earlier. Senolytics, right? Fill me in on those. They sound like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie.
Right. They kind of are. Senolytics are a class of drugs that specifically target senescent cells. These are basically dysfunctional cells that build up in our bodies as we age. Think of them like the grumpy old neighbors of your cellular neighborhood, always complaining, never contributing to the block party.
So they're basically cellular party poopers. I can definitely relate to that. But how do these senolytics actually work? Do they just show up with noise complaints and eviction notices?
Well, not quite that dramatic, but it is a targeted approach. Senolytics basically go in and eliminate those senescent cells, clearing the way for healthy cells to thrive. And studies in animals have shown some pretty impressive results. They've been linked to improvements in age-related conditions like frailty, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. It's like giving your body a cellular makeover.
Sign me up. So are these senolytic drugs available now? Asking for a friend who's got a few too many cellular party poopers hanging around.
Not quite yet for your friend, but there are a number of clinical trials underway testing their safety and effectiveness in humans. It's definitely a space to watch.
Fingers crossed they hit the market soon. Okay, what else is brewing in the anti-aging pipeline? What other scientific magic tricks are scientists cooking up?
Well, another area that's getting a lot of attention is something called NAD+ boosters. NAD+ is like the energy currency of our cells. It plays a vital role in keeping everything running smoothly, from DNA repair to metabolism.
Wait, hold on. I remember you mentioned an analogy earlier. Was it the DVD one? Help me out here. My brain is still recovering from that ice bath I took this morning.
You got it. NAD+ is like the polishing cloth for your epigenome, helping to keep that DVD sparkling clean. But as we age, our NAD+ levels naturally decline, leading to more of those pesky scratches and information loss.
So boosting NAD+ is like giving ourselves a good dose of energy and a shiny new epigenome. I'm feeling more energized already. But how do we actually boost NAD++?
There are a few different approaches. One way is through supplements like nicotinamide riboside, or NR for short. It's kind of like a vitamin for your cells.
Supplements, huh? Sounds easy enough. But are these readily available? Asking for a friend, of course, who may or may not have a slight online shopping addiction.
Yes, NR supplements are currently available. But as with any supplement, it's important to do your research and talk to your doctor before adding anything new to your routine. Just because something is natural doesn't always mean it's safe or effective for everyone.
Right. Always good to proceed with caution, especially when it comes to things we're putting into our bodies. What other futuristic treatments are on the horizon? Are we talking flying cars and teleportation anytime soon?
Well, maybe not flying cars just yet, but researchers are definitely exploring some seriously futuristic stuff like gene editing and stem cell therapy. These are still in the early stages, but they hold incredible potential for potentially reversing or even preventing age-related changes at their root.
Gene editing, stem cell therapy. Now we're really talking sci-fi. But those sound pretty intense. Are we talking designer babies and clones here?
Not exactly. While the idea of using gene editing to increase lifespan is definitely on the radar, it's still very much in the realm of theoretical possibilities. There are some serious ethical and technical hurdles to overcome before we start tinkering with our genes to live to 200.
That makes sense. Like, we can barely decide what to have for dinner, let alone how to rewrite the code of life. But it's definitely fascinating to think about the possibilities. So with all these advancements, is there any consensus on what the magic bullet for anti-aging might be? Are we ever going to find that elusive fountain of youth?
That's the big question, isn't it? And the truth is, there probably isn't going to be one single magic bullet. It's more likely to be a combination of approaches, lifestyle changes, targeted therapies, and maybe even some futuristic tech, all working together to keep us feeling young and vibrant.
So a multi-pronged approach, kind of like how we approach overall wellness now. Diet, exercise, stress management, the whole shebang.
Exactly. And just like with any aspect of health, it's about finding what works best for you, listening to your body, and making informed choices.
Well, I don't know about you, but my brain is officially full. This deep dive has given me so much to think about, both for my own health and for the future of humanity as a whole. It's both exciting and a little bit overwhelming to imagine a world where aging might become optional.
It is, and it's a conversation we need to keep having. As individuals, as a society, we need to figure out how to navigate this new era responsibly and ethically. But one thing's for sure, the future of aging is looking anything but old.
Welcome back, deep divers. We've been on this incredible journey exploring the science and ethics of anti-aging. But now I kind of want to shift gears a bit and talk about something that often gets overlooked in all the excitement about living longer, the human side of aging.
That's so important. At the end of the day, aging is more than just cells dividing and telomeres shortening. It's a deeply personal experience, filled with emotions and memories, and of course, a few more wrinkles along the way.
Exactly. And I think it's important to acknowledge that people have all sorts of reasons for wanting to live longer. Some folks might dream of spending decades more with their loved ones. Others might have a bucket list a mile long and need a few extra centuries to check everything off.
Right.
And let's be honest, some people might just be terrified of that final curtain call.
It's a complex mix of motivations, that's for sure, and I think it's important to approach those motivations with empathy and understanding. After all, who are we to judge someone's desire to squeeze a little more juice out of life?
Totally agree. And at the core of it all, I think what most people really crave isn't just a longer lifespan, but a better quality of life. To feel vibrant, energetic, and engaged in the world no matter what their age is.
That's what we call healthspan, and it's becoming increasingly recognized as a more meaningful goal than simply extending lifespan. It's not just about adding years to your life, but adding life to your years.
I love that. Adding life to your years. It's about making the most of every moment rather than just clinging to existence. But even with all the incredible advancements we talked about, there's still the reality that we will age. Our bodies will change, and that can be a really challenging experience, both physically and emotionally.
It's true. Aging can bring about all sorts of losses, both physical and emotional. We might lose loved ones, experience a decline in physical abilities, or even feel like our sense of identity is shifting. It's important to acknowledge those losses and allow ourselves to grieve them.
It's like saying goodbye to a familiar chapter of your life. But just like with any ending, it also creates space for something new to begin. And I think that's where the real power of aging lies, in the potential for growth, wisdom, and deeper connection.
Absolutely. And there are definitely things we can do to navigate the aging process with grace and resilience. One key factor is cultivating a positive mindset about aging. It's about challenging those negative stereotypes that associate aging with decline and embracing the idea that it can be a time of continued growth and fulfillment.
It's like choosing to see the silver lining rather than just the gray hairs, right?
Oh.
Instead of focusing on what we're losing, we can choose to focus on what we're gaining. Experience, wisdom, perspective, maybe even a newfound appreciation for comfortable shoes.
Exactly. And there's actually a growing body of research showing that having a positive attitude about aging can have tangible benefits for both our physical and mental health. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe aging is a positive experience, you're more likely to age well.
So mind over matter. I like it. It's like giving your brain a pep talk about embracing the aging process. What else can we do to cultivate that mindset of vitality and well-being as we get older?
Well, staying socially connected is absolutely crucial. Maintaining strong relationships with loved ones, engaging in activities that bring us joy, and contributing to our communities. All of these things can foster a sense of purpose and belonging, which are so important for overall well-being, no matter your age.
It's like building a support system for your journey through life, having people you love, things you enjoy doing, and a sense that you're making a difference. Those are the ingredients for a fulfilling life at any age.
Couldn't agree more. And another key aspect is embracing lifelong learning, continuing to challenge ourselves intellectually, exploring new interests, and staying curious about the world. All of these things can help keep our minds sharp and our spirits engaged.
Lifelong learning. I'm all about it. It's like giving your brain a workout, keeping those synapses firing, and preventing it from turning into a couch potato. And let's be real, learning new things just makes life more interesting.
Exactly. So to sum it all up, it seems like the secret to aging well isn't necessarily about finding a magical youth pill, but about embracing a more holistic approach to well-being. It's about nourishing our bodies, minds, and spirits, and approaching the aging process with curiosity and a sense of adventure.
Beautifully put. It's about realizing that aging isn't a finish line to be feared, but a journey to be embraced. And remember, deep divers, aging is something we all do. It's a universal experience that connects us all. So let's choose to age with grace, resilience, and a whole lot of heart. Thanks for diving deep with us.